Sorry. All right, take two, action. So here we are, live flag coverage, Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Once you still trying to figure out what day of the week it is because I've lost my world time frame calendar. But we know for sure that the Flux Motorsport stock cars are at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We're in qualifying, and it was nice that we got to come back to this racetrack. We'd had some issues earlier in the season, got rained out, was unable to get on the track because unlike most series, if it rains, the stock cars don't get on the track. Even if they put treaded tires and one little wimpy wiper blade, they still don't run. So it's great. Here we are in Indianapolis.
Thanks.
The weather's cooperated today.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That's just the Australian in me poking fun at your cars.
I totally agree. I always kind of wonder. It's you know, in England, for example, it's probably a rare day when they don't run in the rain. We've seen so many series that have had very wet tracks over the year here in the Flux Motorsport Championship, and because it's Sunday, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, yesterday they ran the V8s down at Sandown in the rain, so.
Yep. And because it's Sunday, that means we've come to another end of the week of broadcasting. This is race 7 of the 8. We kind of bookend the week. And then coming back on next Tuesday, we start the last week of Season 1. It's the Flux Motorsport Touring Car Championships on Tuesday. GT1's on Thursday. Friday is the GTE. Saturday, we've got the LMP2s and the Indy cars. And then Sunday, GT3s. And then here, to finish off the week, we got the stock cars. And it looks as though we got a rather small field right now. I know we got some cars that are much like we see Dale the Whale there. That car looks like it's really loose coming off the corner, but loose is definitely fast and on the edge of out of control. I can't remember where I heard that from, but by all means, we see Dale that we know is traditionally very fast in any series that he runs, and so it's no surprise that we see him at the top of the leaderboard. With O'Brien not being here tonight, Dale will likely move up to the top spot, or at least close to the top spot. There's a lot of points that are left between the last two races, and as they certainly are all competing for the inaugural Stock Car Championship, that'd be one of those really nice things to have on your career list, is being the inaugural Stock Car Championship here in the Flux Motorsport camp.
Yeah, and probably the extra advantage with that title is, and you say to everybody else, well, I've driven the hardest car on the game, so what's next?
I so agree. We were actually fortunate enough during the earlier practice sessions. Muttley and I both got out there. We were in a couple of loaner cars and turned some laps around the track just to give us a reminder that even though this 2.5 mile oval appears to have 4 identical corners, these corners are certainly not identical. Even though the radius may be relatively the same, they may look the same as you get from the big aerial view looking down on this racetrack. Anybody who's ever turned a lap here can tell you that these 4 corners are definitely different. When you approach this track, Muttley, would you say that you try to approach it more as try to run it more as an oval, or do you try to treat it more like a road course?
I still treat it as an oval just because of the corners. the banking on each corner seems to be different at Indy compared to the Daytona and Texas. So, we always say in the broadcast it's like having two drag strips down the other, each side of the racetrack with four corners, and everybody goes, "Oh yeah, you just turn left." It's not. It's really, really difficult at this track.
Yeah.
Because each corner is, the banking's slightly different on 3. It's quite mild. Then you go into 4, it's a little bit higher, and then 1 and 2 are the same. The banking's not the same. You've got to turn in a lot earlier than what you plan on to get your car, the nose to go down and hit the right apex for the corners especially at Indy. I mean, I never had more trouble driving a NASCAR than I have driving at this track, because it's so different each corner. It's, sometimes the car's got a nice slide on it and you hit everything perfect. You do exactly what you did last time, and you missed the apex by a millimetre and your car's sliding up into the wall. So it's not the easiest track to run stock cars on. I tip my hat to these guys sticking the season out and coming back to Indy and giving these cars another whip around this track.
Yeah, this track in an Indy car, and let's face it, that's how those race cars got their name, is from this course. In a car with great downforce and a lot of adjustability. It's such a fun track to race on. I think that a stock car in this track, and the first time these Cup cars came to this track was in 1994. And, it was there was a lot of sacrilege talk about why would you ever want to take these taxi cabs and run them around an iconic place such as the Brickyard. Well, there's a reason why. We start seeing the quality of the drivers, the focus that it takes, and these cars to me are still such an amazement, because they're push rod engines. They just, in the real world, they just finally got to where they ooh, boy, that looked like it hurt. That looked like it hurt. Dale running a 47.6. That's probably a really good queue time. I don't know for sure, certainly here with only 5 minutes left, if anybody's going to be able to get close to that time. The other challenge too is that Dale knows that he's not going to be able to run those kind of laps, certainly when we get into the race itself.
Well, for me, seeing the car that loose, how's it going to be when Cat Guy's right under the rear wing of it? It's going to be pretty sketchy. I mean, Cat's not having, he doesn't have his favourite car out there at the moment, but he's muscling around, and Cat sort of said pre-race that he's finding the temperature difference a bit hard to dial in his cars, but we'll come to the racetrack and temperatures are all different all the time, so you just have to sort of bring out your spanner set and go, well, we're going to adjust this a little bit and maybe do something a bit different than what we did previously.
Butler, that is so true. I'm kind of excited when we start to think about when we get into season 2. We'll get more into the late spring, start getting in towards summer with a lot of these tracks. We'll start bringing some more of that track temperature, and that track temperature will certainly bring higher levels of grip. Better bring all your spanners then, because your notes from everything, and since we only got one race here in the stock cars this season, we got a really small notebook to work through when we come to next season.
What I've found so far with the first season being with Flux Motorsports is that the challenges we're seeing from the drivers is getting used to the tyre temps and the different season as such, because we haven't run date related stuff before. So, you know, Cat Guy's a bit out to lunch with his setups. You know, Carlin's always been a really good car setup guy, so he's always had fast cars. So, you know, everybody's, you know, working on different styles of setup to what they're used to, because the tyre temps are not as hot as previous seasons. So,
well, we see what the fast guys are doing. Let's jump on. Let's give Smack Davis, newcomer to Flux. Let's give him a little airtime, and let's see if we can kind of get a better understanding and see him, maybe what he's trying to work through here. Look a little bit at his line to give us a better indication as to. And I would suspect too. I know that Cat Guy and Dale are really good about sharing setups, and what may be really good and usable for one driver may make another driver feel like he's out to lunch. So the good part about it is Smack's going to have what looks like a brand new car when we get ready to start the race here. So good line coming off of 4.
he's not turning it early enough for 1.
Yep, he could certainly, and you know what I find a lot of times when you're going into that first corner is visually you see the end of pit road, and I think sometimes, I know for me, that would actually take my focus away, because I was thinking that if I turned in too soon I could accidentally make contact with pit road. So much better in 3, a little better arc in 3. He could let the car actually roll out closer there in the short chute. Boy, and see how quick that car, he had it down there close to the Andretti rumble strip, and as soon as the car got a little bite, it wanted to violently take him to the right, but he had very good control.
Yeah, he was able to muscle it back to.
Now we're going to see Mr. Smooth here now. Carlin Hicks has a couple of race wins at this track, not only in a stock car but also in an Indy car in a previous series. And we've bragged many times about Carlin's, not only his ability to set a car up, but also his racecraft. And here once again, I wasn't going to. I'm glad I didn't say anything about his qualifying, because right now he's high on the board. Am I seeing that correctly from the pylon? Does it look like maybe we've lost Dale the Whale?
I don't understand what's going on there.
He's just not. Is he just not showing up on the score tower right now? Okay.
Yeah, but he's still in the room. Cars are there, so we'll see what happens. Because I say he's got the top qualifying position. We'll see what happens when it ticks over. So I'd say he qualifies on top of the ranks.
Yep, qualifying complete. Looks like...
he's got a grid place penalty. That's why it's not showing him.
Okay.
And then he's... So he might be starting... Yeah, so... Jimbo got grid place penalty too,
So does this list mean...
Well, goes down 1.
Yeah.
Cat Guy goes up.
Does Cat Guy go up? I don't know either. We're going to have to see how that lays out. It's pretty rare. I wonder if they got those grid penalties for speeding on pit road. I know I've seen a number of those grid penalties. But here we go. This is your 8 starters for tonight. We've got Dale the Whale certainly right now. That's a pretty stout lap. Boof Jumbo. This is one of our newest drivers into Flux Motorsport. Very good showing. Here's Cat Guy, 48. Here's Carlin Hicks at a 48, 126. Jiggly Jello. also
48.
very close. So here we go. We've got the top 5 cars here under a second difference between
Yeah.
all of their qualifying times. So this should make for some interesting first corner. My name is
Yeah.
Jeff, low 49. It's your boy
Yeah.
Squash, 48-2.
49.
And Smack Davis. Smack's going to get an opportunity to now go into his race setup. And I'm not going to pick tonight because what I'm going to do is I'm going to send these guys into the 2-minute room, let them go ahead and get there, confirm what their setup is. Now, as we see them on the grid here, this is one of the traditional starting positions for Indianapolis. They do 3 abreast. They do 3 abreast certainly in the Indy cars. And
Yep.
it's always
Don't want to be in the Stockcar.
yes. So we're going to we're going to all say a little prayer right now, and we're going to hold our breath. We need to get through at least the first 2 laps. These cars take a lap or 2 to actually get the tire temperatures up, and I suspect that we're going to see some wiggling.
The top gear sometimes you're not even, not the first corner. It's the second or third. It's just. These cars are brutal on the starts. You're dropping 600 plus horsepower straight to the floor, and you just hope it doesn't kick.
Well, I certainly would not want to be the meat in the sandwich there. I would definitely not want to be Dale the Whale. I would definitely not want to be Jiggly Jello. If I had to,
I was running a couple of public rooms this morning, and 3 wide on Indy's just nuts. Somebody jigs left or somebody jigs right, and there's a car accident happening in front of you, and then you got to sort of try to miss that mess and not take anybody else out. So here we go. Let's go racing.
Race 7, Flux Motorsport TV, Indianapolis Raceway. Live flag-to-flag coverage.
Oh, looks like Dale got the jump. Oh, my name's Jeff. Went for a...
Got on the throttle. Likely
Yeah.
broke those tires loose. Car immediately went hard right to the wall. And it looks like here on the start, my name is Jeff, has immediately got some right side damage to his car. Hopefully there's not any suspension damage at this point. They got through turn 1. Now getting the cars up to top speed. The tires certainly have not got up to temperature yet.
Yeah, Booth was scraping the wall. Cat came off the corner a bit wildly.
Car got it starts off loose and then it grabs and it gets immediately tight and it wants to hook hard right in this case.
Yeah.
Colin Hicks in the number 4 Cash Now Ford. And Cat Guy and Booth Jumbo. We see that we've got these cars they've given each other some space, either by hook or crook. And now it's about going out here on this 2.5 mile oval that's been around since the early 1900s. And has went through a number of configuration changes, and there was the moment. There was the Code Brown moment for Dale the Whale leading the race, coming off of turn number 4. The car hooks, so that answers the question. He's probably still using a very close variation of his qualifying setup, now with a full fuel load, and that's going to make that car a little evil till it gets to the point where the balance is correct for his driving style.
Yeah, that means, getting the fuel out of it, getting the tyres warmed up to the temperature that they want to play nice with you, and then dealing with the weight of the car. So a lot of things you got to process in this thing.
I was always remembering too. There was always these opportunities. Well, here we see Booth Jumbo coming down on the inside, making the pass. Clean pass, picked a good spot to make that. And now let's see what you were talking about earlier, Muttley. Let's see now when Cat Guy gets up there and takes a little air off of Booth Jumbo's
bit of a wrinkle on his bonnet. That's what we're seeing. So it's affecting his aero. It doesn't have as much top speed as Booth at the moment. So that's what I'm seeing anyway.
So we had a gentle reminder too before the start of the race. Carlin was reminding that all of these drivers, when they go through their pre-race checklist, kind of one of the glitches that we've seen is that there's times when you have these custom setups, and these drivers spend hours and many laps working on these custom setups, trying to compensate for everything from certainly not only the characteristics of the car, but the ever-changing track conditions. And once you have that magical setup, that it's the reminder that in this instance you should always go in there and make sure that setup is reloaded, that you have that conversation with the car chief. Is this the shocks, the spring, the toe, the tire pressure, the downforce, all of the openings, all of those hundreds of setups possibilities that go along with this car, are those setups correct? And not only when you initially get out there to do the race, but also too when you come in to do the pit stops. Make sure that all the people in the pits understand that you don't want to have any challenges associated with randomly changing tire pressures. What's your strategy? Are you going to try
What
to...
is your strategy on this one? Are you coming in, putting tyres on, or just filling it up and taking off again? There's
old, Darrell Waltrip. He always used to have that saying, when I hit the pits, I want a full tank of fuel and 4 of them feel goods, 4 brand new tires. And we're running accelerated tire wear here. These cars are really tough on the tires to begin with, in authentic tire wear. So yeah, for these cars to make 45 minutes, we know that they likely can't make it on fuel in the 45-minute time frame, but we definitely know that these cars are going to need tires. And while we see them, we see the group here gapped out some. We notice as the time goes on, we're likely going to start to see some of these lap times fall off. You see that Dale's running a 48.3, so
48.5.
very good in race trim. At least the nice part about this track is that we only have to worry about brakes when we're coming into the pits.
Yeah, and I hope these boys did a pit stop practice, because these things don't break.
Yeah,
you could throw the Titanic out the back window of this thing and it still wouldn't stop it.
With both its anchors, yes.
Yeah. Oh, terrible.
And then to get the car down to the 37 miles an hour to avoid actually having a speeding penalty on pit road that adds on to it. So with 38 minutes remaining, our 7 stock car participants here have pretty much found their pace.
And the lead guy just gave it a bit of a well first couple of laps, but said, well, it was a little hard, and just sitting in the pits watching.
Yeah, right. Oh, this stuff is easy. Just go down here and turn left, right? Nothing to it. Let's jump on board with Dale the Whale, and let's let him give us a track walk as our leader. So here we come down the long front stretch. You see the grid markings there that the Formula One cars will actually use when they race here. Nice entry into turn 1, kept it down on the stripe, out as far as you care to in that short chute without actually hitting the wall. And when the car comes off of turn 2, you kind of notice as it makes that transition off of the banking, that's one of the places where if you're not in the right place, that can certainly throw you up into the wall. Nice entry into 3. Very nice and tidy. There's a grate there in the short chute between 3 and 4. Always a good visual indicator to tell you where to start turning in. Now back down to the front chute, clean off of turn 4. And that's a lap around the 2.5 mile Indianapolis Motor Speedway in 48 seconds. When these cars are reaching near the end of the front stretch and the back stretch, these cars will be over 200 miles an hour. Being out there and having enough clean air to have downforce on the front end and the rear end of the car is definitely a godsend to being able to get this car to actually turn around the corner also. But the gap between the cars, go ahead.
Yeah, the gap between the cars is nice because you don't have to worry about somebody taking the air off the back and your car stepping to the left. I mean, it's probably all down to pit stops now. You know how you come in that lap and how you get out. So if you have a good clean get in, get your tyres, your petrol, Dale scraped the wall there. So, and does Carlin have a better pit stop? That's all we are relying on. You know, even though he's got a 4-second gap, that's bugger all really in these things.
Yeah, and when you make that transition off of the 4th turn and you're trying to get the car slowed down, so you get off onto an area of the track that likely may have some debris on it. Also doesn't have near the temperature that the racing surface does. So that means now the car is going to want to try to slide. Cat Guy and Carlin, remember Cat Guy being an instance where he basically had a race won here at this track.
Well, that
came in
looks worse on Cat. He's got a cracked windscreen.
Yeah, came in for his last pit stop, locked up the rear brakes, looped the car, actually wrecked went backwards into the pit area and got disqualified. So we see my name is Jeff into the pits at this time.
Yeah, I'd say that's for damage.
Okay. So likely pancake the right side of the car.
Early damage. Not really showing us what's going on there for him. Because to me, at 33 to go, it's a little early to say that's going to get him. He'll probably run him to the end, but your tyres are going to be pretty shot by that stage. And if Dale and Carlin and Booth stay out and come in about halfway, they'll have fresher tyres and they'll chase him down, which is, he's going down laps anyway. As they're running past him while he's in the pits fixing his car. And that's the actual bonus that Dale and Carlin have at the moment, is they've got pretty clean looking cars. There's no real damage I can see on, even though he scraped the wall a couple of times on Dale's car. Carlin's car looks the same, looks pretty smick, doesn't look like there's any aero damage on that one. Jumbo's about the same.
Definitely looks clean in the front.
The same. Yeah, it looks the same, and then Cat Guy looks like he's hit a bus. Sorry.
Well, no, that's what happens when a bus gets out on the racetrack and Cat Guy goes, "Hey, buses aren't supposed to be on the racetrack. Get off of here." And the bus driver's not paying attention, so he starts using the chrome horn on the front of his race car to move him.
Yeah. What effect that's having on the car at the moment? I'd say you probably have a bit of, would you say left hand down or right hand down on that?
I think what we're seeing, especially with his lap times, it's probably trying to put too much on the right side, and that's it's trying to make the car's actually sticking better on the right side than what it is on the left side.
Yeah.
So it's excuse me, making for a challenge. Good thing the veteran's in there. Oh, did we just have? Was that?
My name's Jeff. He's gone. He bailed it. He quit.
Yeah,
he's bouncing across. Yeah.
It looks like that had some type of transmission failure.
Yeah. Him and Smack Dave had blown engines.
Well, it's all come down to this. Now it winds up actually being, it's welcome to the Survivor Series.
Mm-hmm.
And, boy, I tell you what, if you can maintain, just make it to the end. This is going to be
It's boy squash.
A great points day. I'm going to throw some good mojo out here for Itchy Boy Squash to give him some more grip.
Once you start ping-ponging like that, sometimes it's extremely hard to stop. It just wants to go left, and it just wants to go right. You're bouncing off walls.
Well, and then I think you start getting frustrated.
You try to over manhandle the car, and it's not actually the driver's trying to do the right thing and making the car go in a straight line, but the thing is, once you get a couple of bings and suspension or whatever damage you get out of it, the car's steering in that direction in the first place, so it makes it really, really difficult to drive. As it makes it look like it is, a Sunday drive in his Ford Fusion, and Carlin's doing the same thing.
Yeah, these guys out here clean and green. Controlled, in the line. Again, plenty of practice beforehand. And now working to... And they're getting reports back from their pit crew about what's happened to the other competitors. And a lot of that cautionary information reaching them is likely having them remember that at this point, let's finish. Let's make this a great points day. Definitely the leaderboard is going to change up depending on where Dale, Cat Guy, and Carlin wind up here at the finish. We're going to likely see the three of these guys move up towards the top, especially with O'Brien not being here tonight.
Yeah. Well, if I was Cat at the moment, running the times I am, and with 28, or I'd get it down probably maybe down to 26 to go. I'd come in, get it fixed, fill it up, throw some tyres at it, and then try to do the best laps I've done all day. Car back to square one, and just hopefully you don't translate it back to what you had it previously at, and see if you can run these guys down, and hopefully they have some little scrapes here and there and slow themselves down. So that's what I'd do if I was Cat.
Yeah, because you don't know, is it drama or is it trauma? Because there's a big difference between the two.
Well, at this stage of the race, I'm saying Colin and Dale, unless they start beating the cars against the wall, they don't have to fix the car in the pit stop, where at the moment Cat Guy's got to go in, get his car fixed so it starts to handle back to what he wants, so you can start running 49s or 48s to try to get his car back on pace with the front guys, and then you're hoping a spanner slips out of the mechanic's hand when he's doing the tyre change or something, and it slows them down a bit. So
see Dale actually starting to arc out those corners a little more. So it makes me wonder, is the car getting freer as the time goes on? And here we see Booth Jumbo coming out of the pits, repaired, back in the game. Oh, now we've lost another. We've just got report from the pits that My Name is Jeff has suffered a terminal engine failure and is no longer able to compete. So not only a rough day on the track, a rough day in the pits, and there'll be a lot of communication that goes on, certainly with these drivers and with their crew chiefs, as they strive to figure out ways. Why is it they're not able to get the 45 minutes out of these cars as these other competitors do?
Well, we were talking about this earlier on, and Dale, Carlton, and Cat, put the time in. They've run these cars for 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 seasons. You just don't jump in and go, well, you're just going to turn left. It doesn't physically calculate out to be that. You got to manhandle them into the corners a bit, and then getting used to sliding through the corners, which is against everything you've raced before. You don't have a car on a slide as much as you do sometimes with these cars.
Muttley, would you say that there has been any of the tracks that you would consider this year that, certainly if I hadn't had opportunities to ever drive a stock car before, is there, in your opinion, is there one of these tracks that I could go to with a minimal amount of experience, have a little maybe mentoring, and have maybe even use a default setup that you would say somebody could actually get into Flux Motorsport to be able to drive?
Yeah, Daytona. I don't know why. It's just the nature of the track. I always found, for me, driving NASCARs as first time up, steering wheel / controller, even, it was always easier to drive it at Daytona than it is Indy / Texas. So, if you want to learn how to drive these things, do a half a dozen more laps at Daytona. Setups help to make the car go a little faster. Default is the perfect way to start.
And would you say you'd start off with the stable setup or the loose setup?
I'd probably go for the stable, just so the car's a bit nicer, because it's a little stiffer in the chassis, but loose can suit some people. So if you're going out there in your car and it's just doing standard setups, you're not trying to take somebody's setup off them for the first time driving a NASCAR, go out and try it in the stable. If you don't really get the niches of it, then go, alright, I've done a 47 or whatever lap time you've done in the stable setup, go out and do a half a dozen laps on the loose stable and see what lap time you can put down there. And if you go, oh shit, I've done a 46 or something quicker than what you did in the stable, and you're going, oh, I like loose. Now, what can I do if I got a setup handed to me and it's a loose setup?
So speaking of a loose setup, here we've got Dale the Whale, who's closing in on the 4th place Cat guy.
Yep.
And I think maybe now we're going to actually get to see what happens depending on where. Oh, going into the pits on lap 28. Gets car slowed down to the required 37 miles an hour. Manual pits means that he is the driver, not only has to be able to set the pit speed correctly, but he also has to be able to stop in his box to get the predetermined service. And now with 20 minutes left, I'm guessing probably gonna have to take a full fuel load just to be on the safe side? Or is this where I'm too cautious now and I maybe put too much fuel in the car, more than what I need, and upsetting the balance even more?
Well, I mean, if you're smart, you've done a pre-race running these things, and
Boof Jumbo stuffed into the wall again in the short chute.
Boof Jumbo.
Hang in there, Boof. We're pulling for you.
Yeah.
Here comes Dale back out on the track.
Yeah, I mean, to me, Colin's done the right thing. He's stayed out there. He's running fairly quick laps while Dale's in doing his service and stuff.
So now does Carlin take the advantage, dive in here, make his last stop, and work his way, or does he try to gap Dale as much as he can and then make a stop?
Well, yeah, I would have done that lap around and come in behind him, because then I think you're losing less than that, you know. You understand what I'm saying there, One Tree? You know,
yes, sir.
You sort of come in
yes,
a lap, you know, later, and then hit all your marks, get in. He's still in front of you, getting his service done. You're getting your service done, but his out lap is going to be slow to build up the speed going around the track. And then when you go out, you're doing the same thing. So you end up in very similar positions. If Carlin makes a mistake on the track at the moment, Dale will catch him. But it's still fairly up in the air. When does he come in? Can he run out the whole 19 minutes left on what he's got? I don't think so. I don't think he'd get through to the end, you know, enough fuel to the end. But, you know, does Carlin roll the dice and say, oh, just going to come in for fuel, not worry about the tyres and keep running it? Because even though it's accelerated tyre wear, I know one guy could run a car pretty reasonably around most tracks on worn tyres as Carlin.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, you can call me Cat Guy anytime you want to. That's as close.
Sorry, mate.
That's as close. That's as close to a compliment as I'm going to get today, and I would take it, because if you call me Cat Guy, you're putting me in the class with a winner, and that guy is definitely a winner. So for those of you that are watching, especially if this is the first time that you're catching Flux Motorsport TV, you see in the stock cars here, and if you would love to come out here and have this kind of fun with us on Sunday evenings, then please consider joining the Flux community. And how you do that is you go to www.fluxmotorsport.com, sign up, join us on the Discord, get your evaluation drive, and pick from one of the 7 championship series. 2021 Season 2 coming soon. And then you can actually be featured here on Flux TV also. While you're on the Flux Discord, participate in the community race. This is where we get setups. This is where we get our support. And if you would please consider a donation to help support what Flux Motorsport does. Browse the marketplace for your Flux swag, because winning is pointless if you don't look good while doing it. Check out discounts, offers available through Fanatec, Acelip, through our affiliate links, and join us here at Flux Motorsport, the home of clean sim racing and eMotorsports. I think Booth Jumbo needs the gold. Here he comes in. 34 laps. Okay. So now let's see.
If
Dale just crosses the start-finish line.
That guy's in as well. You already rolling?
Tires, gas should be. Don't think Carlin had any damage to correct.
No, he didn't have any damage in his car.
Cat guy's moving.
Well, there goes Carlin now.
Here comes Carlin. Getting them tires
down
hot.
Front stretch, it gets him. Ooh. Got him there.
Yeah, Dale goes back to the top of the leaderboard. So now we're going to see if Carlin and Cat Guy, let's see if they have an opportunity to, can they hook up here with 15 minutes remaining. And try to use the draft. Or do they hold court, get a good points day, and keep the car off the wall?
If Carlin can sneak up behind Cat here and keep it in the, they can start drafting together. I wouldn't put it off of them. Well, put it off of Carlin for one to get closer to Dale with that. I mean, these two guys can run fairly good laps together. They know how each other drives, so. It's just pushing. Well, you can see Carlin's right in behind Cat, so he's getting all the advantage he can.
And look how Carlin's look how Carlin's front end washed away because he was tucked up in there. He had no front grip going into 3. So now they likely had they're having the discussion now. Well, let's see who's better up front.
I doubt it in actual Cat Guy spring he's got the bent bonnet still, because he would have fixed that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he wouldn't have had that hero damage.
They both get around our buddy Booth there.
Yeah, but they have enough to catch Dale.
Now 13 minutes left. 20-second gap. Dale ran a 49. Carlin ran a 51. And the hounds are at the gate. Dale really looking like as the car, especially as the car goes into 3, the car really wants to push in and off on that corner, or he's just allowing the car to kind of naturally take that high arc going through that corner. It's possible, especially in turn 1 and turn 3, to pinch the car off too much, and now you start sliding the front tires. We're already on accelerated tire wear, which causes more wear to occur on the tires, and the more you wear out those front tires, the less the car wants to turn into those two very high-speed 90-degree corners.
He's got a very nice arc going. You know what I mean? He's not overworking the tyres or the car. You know, he's got a very, very nice flow to it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, so did Carlin. Carlin's car looks like it's flowing. You know, even though it's not down on the white line of the track, it's still on the line of where the tyre rubber's been laid from all the cars racing on the similar lines. And he seems to be sticking in that patch.
Good point.
Well, Cat's just, you know, doing what Cat does. Well, I don't believe these cars that bent.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's nice to see.
I believe a guy would have jumped on the bonnet out of the pit crew, you know, and would have said, "Yeah, that's now flat."
Exactly. We also see too now that it's definitely it's your boy and Booth. They were looked like maybe they were.
And Carlin's done a 49 in the last lap. So let's see what he does this lap.
He did have just a little bit of traffic to contend with there. He had a couple of back markers that maybe took him off. Oh boy, he was a full car width above that line. Yeah.
I heard he had no throttle at all. He was basically coasting the car around that corner to make sure it didn't touch the wall.
Or did he wind up going super light on fuel, knowing that he could make it to the end?
Yeah, I'd say Carlin's done his numbers though. He'd be making sure his car's.
In the pre-race in the pits, we stumbled into a conversation between him and Cat Guy where they were talking about fuel usage. Carlin had also mentioned, too, he was having some challenges with his readout not being as accurate as what they were, you know, and the Carlin out there with his pencil paper and his calculator. And he found that his digital readout on his dash was not as accurate as what he had hoped for.
Yeah, I mean, I've got RS Dash available to me, but you got to make sure your phone doesn't switch off, and you got to have it somewhere where you can look at it. And I found it's just a little bit hard to do. It's one extra distraction you got in the cockpit to try to glance over and go, oh yeah, I should be alright for fuel. I winged it, got it wrong. Yes, but if you do what I've been doing most of the season, this season is run the 45-minute race beforehand or during the week in practice. You get your fuel numbers. It might not be perfect, but at least you know how many laps you're going to be running and when you might plan on coming in and what tyre strategy you're going to be running. You're going to be running. Are just running slicks, but if you're running different cars, do you run on hards at the front or softs on the combination?
That's a good point. I was Dale actually made a really great suggestion a couple of weeks ago, and he talked a little bit about some of his preparation. Is what he will actually do is set up a online lobby, and he will run against the AI, and he turns the AI all the way up. All their aggressiveness, all their talent, and what he says is then he works to tune not only his car but himself to at that point to where he can be, you know, he can figure out what he needs to be consistent. And there's been a couple of instances where I've tried that, and whoever said, oh wait a minute, that's me that said computers are dumb because we only do what we tell them to do. I know the AI in this sim program, they don't care. They run over you. They run over you better than what
yeah,
most
if you got it
drivers
on the
do.
hardest setting, yeah, the hardest setting you can, yeah, you don't want to be even thinking about leaving the gap because they'll just dive down the inside of you and shove you out the way. Who was that down there? Somebody was down facing
Oh my
the wall.
gosh.
Boy squash, yes. So hopefully the boys are getting their local yellow down on the front stretch.
Yeah, would
Last
hope
thing
there
you want
was
to be doing
some.
is getting a bloody car facing sideways. Oh no, he's gone. That's all right.
And then there were 6.
So, and as much as the conversations we're having in the background about cars and what's going to be going ahead, yeah, we can see that finding these cars hard to drive.
And you know, I think about the quality, top to bottom, of the drivers that we see in Flux Motorsport, and I know that you look at all the other series. There are drivers that have the ability to drive these cars. I think what people lack right now is the experience. And
Well, that's what we were saying this morning in our little conversations. Is you know, when you look at a series one sheet, you go, yes, I've got time enough in my schedule to run that, fully committed practice, run a race before you go into the, you do your practice time, you get ready for it, and then you race it, or you just come in by, corporate jet, sit in the seat and say, yeah, come on boys, get my NASCAR ready and let's go racing. Well, it don't work.
yeah. Yeah, and then when you get out there and you stuff the car in the wall on the third turn on the first lap.
You go back and smack the coot
Yes.
teeth in the mouth and go, what the hell is this piece of shit?
Yes,
I
right.
can't drive that.
I could, yes, I could be fast out there if you could make the car better, and yeah.
What's wedge?
Yeah.
What are you talking about, dude?
Isn't that?
No, I'm from Australia. I don't know about wedge. I don't know about turning left bullshit. Just make the thing go fast.
Isn't that wedge? Isn't that like a piece of cheese or something?
Yeah. No, isn't that the thing you stop doors with? And,
yes. You split wood and yes.
I'm sorry. I do use these NASCAR terminology very loosely, since I'm from the other side of the world. But it is funny to listen to.
Well, one thing for sure
you
here.
guys do it. You got the tire pressures on the right hand side of the car high, and then you do the left, so the car actually is turning before you actually start turning the car. And people go, huh? What are you talking about? What are you doing that for?
The
you want the car
stagger,
slightly turning, slightly turning left to make the car slide through the corner properly. And a lot of these guys are getting cat guys or Carlin's setups, but they still haven't had the time driving these things. 1 season, 2 seasons, 3 seasons, you might just get the handle on the car and how it handles Daytona, Texas, and then you still be out to lunch on Indy for 4 or 5 seasons. It's just that kind of track.
And speaking of Texas, that's next week. It's the end of the stock car season, and
I'm not going to be racing the whole weekend except for come chat with you in NASCAR. Disappointed.
So that means that we won't see you there for the IndyCar race on Friday night?
I won't be there for the GTEs on Saturday for me and who's that?
Oh, car turnaround here coming off of in the short shoot.
Who was that? Was that Itchy Boy Squash? Oh, it was Booth.
And Booth Jumbo. It's
Yeah.
It's both of these guys.
Oh.
I bet you
I
their
reckon
heads
it might
hurt.
have been a bit of a heart-stopping moment for Carlin then. Check his pants.
Yes. Yes, second code brown of the evening.
Well,
Yeah,
the problem with
Texas.
that is you don't know where the car's going to end up. All right, if it's on the wall and he's got hold of it, yes, but if it's,
Yeah, even if the driver locks, right, even if the driver locks the brakes down, is the car going to stop where you want it to stop at?
No, it doesn't. Sometimes it hits the wall and bounces back out. Just depends on the speed. Yeah, Texas. Yeah, I really would have loved to have been there in the Ford in my GTE car, because I have a feeling that it would have been all right on the inner circuit as the car. It might not have been straight line speed as the Corvette through the oval, but I reckon I would have been interesting to see it go there. As for my season in general, I should have been able to get myself on the list, been at more races than I was. So it is what it is. Next season, I'm going to try to make sure I do get on the list and stick the Ford, well, wherever I can put it a bit further up if I can. But I'll take fourth every day of the week.
Yes, I will likely be making an announcement concerning sponsorship and duties regarding not only broadcasting, but certainly my future with Flux Motorsport. So I'm really kind of excited about that. And here we are on the white flag lap. Dale Llewellyn, guy's been to class of the field, sat on the pole. I would likely bet that he has the fastest lap. Cat guy directly in front of him. And the 6 guys that are going to make it to the finish of this race, I'm just so proud of them because they hung on.
Beef Jumbo is bouncing off walls, and still willing to go back into the pits, fix the car up again, and go around and bang it up again and do the same thing.
And great points days. Great points day for the 6th. These 6, we're going to see Dale Carlin, Cat Guy, Jiggly, all of them move up in the standings, and it is definitely going to make Texas one to watch. Congratulations, Dale Llewellyn.
I'm hoping that O'Brien, pulls his big pants on and comes and shows these boys how to drive Texas. That's all I can say about it.
Yeah, O'Brien, Carlin, Cat Guy, and Dale. Those 4 guys. It's a reason why they're at the top of the points, and what they will actually show us how to do at Texas will be. They're going to put on a clinic for sure, because it's very likely whoever wins that race will walk away with the championship here in the inaugural season of the sports cars on Flux Motorsport.
And wrecks and car crashes and all the rest of it. Well, that's what happens in the motorsports. It's not always perfect.
Yes, so true, Metley. So true.
Did we lose number? Oh no, top 7. Sorry,
Been there.
I shouldn't be laughing.
Been there.
It's so easy to do, especially in these cars.
Yep, been there. So here we have your finishers, the survivors, if you will, here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Dale Llewellyn, Carlin Hicks,
Yeah, 48.
Jiggly, Jello, top 3, Cat Guy, close behind. As we projected, Dale Llewellyn certainly has the fastest lap. The battle-worn Itchy Boy Squash, Boof Jumbo, hanging in there, finishing it out, and Smack Davis, an unfortunate DQ'd.
Yeah, but at least he stayed in the room and he gets points for it, you know what I mean? Everybody else who, rage quitted or, had their engine blow on their, they got no points. Well, we'll see if they'll come back next season.
Muttley, I want to thank you so much for making time out of your busy schedule to be with us here in Indianapolis Motor Speedway
I always
today.
like jetting to America, I love
it. Yes. And hopefully they got the right champagne on the plane for you this time. I think they had it wrong last week.
Look, corporate jet is always good. It's always well stocked up. All right.
For Muttley, this is One Shoe, Flux Motorsport TV.
Folks.
See everybody. See you at Texas.
Oh, yeah.